Hello everyone, welcome back to Changfied YouTube channel, your trusted source for latest update across South Sudan and beyond. Today we have several major stories making headline across the country. A senior official in the Ministry of Petroleum speaks openly against corruption and political pressure in South Sudan. Suspended Petroleum Minister Puot Kang denies accusation that he funded army use during the Nasir violent case, and the United Nations is raising concern over the humanitarian crisis in Akobo as thousands of civilians continue to suffer. Before we proceed, I would like you to help the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell so whenever we upload a new video you can be notified. Let's begin our report with Petroleum Undersecretary speak against political pressure and corruption in South Sudan. According to this report, a senior official in South Sudan Ministry of Petroleum has publicly spoken against political interference and favoritism in government contract. The Undersecretary in the Ministry of Petroleum, Santino Ayuel Longar, made a strong comment during a public event in Juba. His speech is now attracting attention across the country because many citizens believe corruption and favoritism are serious problems in South Sudan. During his speech, Longar explained that many public officials face pressure from powerful people who want government contracts to be given to their own companies. According to him, some individuals create what he called briefcase companies. Briefcase companies. These are companies that may not have experience, capacity, or real work history, but they still try to receive large government contract because of political connection. Longar asked an important question during the event. He said, "Who do I serve? An individual or the country?" This statement quickly became one of the most discussed part of his speech. According to the information, the Petroleum Undersecretary explained that public officials often forced to choose between protecting national institutions or pleasing powerful individuals. He gave an example involving a contract worth $15 million. According to him, if he decides not to give such a contract to a national institution like Nalpet Insurance, then politically connected people become angry and began putting pressure on him. Longar say he believes government officials must protect national institutions instead of serving private interests. He also spoke emotionally about the sacrifice made during South Sudan liberation struggle. The Undersecretary said millions of South Sudanese suffered and died so the country could become independent. Because of that sacrifice, he believes leaders must think about the nation first before personal interest. He said no threat or intimidation would force him to support unfair decisions. According to Longar, public institutions must become stronger if South Sudan wants a better future. Many citizens online reacted positively to his comment. Some people praise him for speaking honestly about corruption and political pressure inside government institutions. Others say his speech reflects the frustration many South Sudanese feel when they see contracts and opportunities being controlled by a small number of connected individuals. for a year there have been public complaint about lack of transparency in government project and contract. Critics say many qualified companies and professionals are ignored while politically connected groups continue receiving opportunities. Some analysts believe Longar comments are important because senior government officials rarely speak publicly about internal pressure and favoritism. Others said his statement may encourage wider discussion about accountability and institutional reform in South Sudan. At the same time, some observers are asking whether real change will happen after this remark. Many citizens say South Sudan has had anti-corruption speech before, but the real challenge is implementation. People want to see a stronger system, independent institution, and equal opportunities for all citizens. The issue of corruption continues to affect many sectors in South Sudan, including infrastructure, healthcare, education, and oil management. South Sudan depends on oil revenue. It depends heavily on oil revenue, making the petroleum sector one of the most important part of the economy in South Sudan. Because of this transparency in the sector remain a major public concern. Longar also say he respects advice from colleagues and stakeholders, but final decision must be based on national interest and practical realities rather than political pressure. His speech is now being shared widely on social media, a platform where many South Sudanese continue debating the future of governance and accountability in the country. As this discussion continues, many citizens are watching carefully to see whether government institutions will become more transparent and independent in the future. Now, from concern about corruption and political pressure, we move to another major national story involving the ongoing Nasir attack trial. Suspended Petroleum Minister Puot Kang has strongly denied accusation that he funded army youth group involved in violence in Upper State. Here are the details. Suspended Petroleum Minister Puot Kang should appear before a special court and rejected allegation that he financed army youth connected to the violence in Nasir County. The case is linked to the March 2025 attack on a military base in Nasir, in Upper State. Puot Kang is one of several accused individuals facing serious charges including treason, terrorism, murder, conspiracy, and crime against humanity. The case has become one of the most closely watched political and security trials in South Sudan. During the court hearing, Puot Kang denied all accusations against him. He told the court that he did not send money to support violence or army group. The suspended minister specifically denied claim that he sent $1,500 to Brigadier General Chuol for ritual purpose connected to the conflict. According to Puot Kang, the accusations are false. Puot Kang also said he does not know some of the individuals mentioned during testimony presented by prosecutor. Investigator had earlier claimed that Puot Kang sent a total of $30,000 to mobilize youth across several payam in Upper State. Prosecutor also alleged that cross-border money transfers were made through M-Pesa and Ethiopian banking channel. According to investigator, some of the funds allegedly went to individuals connected to the Norway Army Militia and SPLA Ayuel commander. But Puot Kang rejected this allegation in court. He argued that testimony presented by expert witnesses concerned contradiction. For example, it say one witness claimed the money was intended for ritual activities, while another claimed it was for purchasing livestock during a festival in Ulang County. Kang questioned these inconsistencies and maintained that the evidence presented does not prove he supported violence. Another important part of the testimony focused on the relationship between SPLM, SPLA-IO, and the Norway Army. Kang told the court that the SPLM-IO political movement and the Norway Army are not the same organization. He explained that Army Youth Group operate independently and were not created by the SPLM, SPLA-IO. This issue remains very sensitive because authorities accuse Army Youth and opposition force of participating together during the Nasir attack. According to prosecutor, the March 2025 violence led to the deaths of 257 SSPDF soldiers, including Commander David Majudak. In retaliation, the SSPDF attacked most civilians by sending gunship and using incendiary weapon against innocent people in Nasir. Investigators also claim military equipment worth around $15 million was destroyed or seized during the attack. The violence in Nasir shocked many citizens across South Sudan and increased fear about instability in Upper Nile State. The conflict also accused the conflict caused displacement of civilian and worsening humanitarian condition in the area. Puot Kang is not the only high-profile figure connected to the case. Or connected to this case. Suspended first by President Dr. Machar is also among the accused individuals. Machar remains under the house arrest, while several co-accused individuals are being held by the National Security Service. The court session was later adjourned until May 11, 2026, as judges continue examining the case. Political observers say the trial could have major implications for South Sudan peace process and political future. Some citizens believe accountability is necessary for peace and justice. Others fear the case may increase political tension if it is not handled carefully and transparently. The situation continues attracting national and international attention because South Sudan remains in a fragile political transition. Many people are now calling for peaceful dialogue, rule of law, and protection of civilians as the legal process continues. While political and security tension continue in Upper Nile State, another crisis is growing in Jonglei State. The United Nations is now warning about worsening humanitarian condition in Akobo County, where thousands of people face hunger, displacement, and limited access to health care in Jonglei. Let us look at this story. The United Nations has welcomed commitment made by South Sudan transitional government to allow humanitarian access into Akobo County in Jonglei State. This comes at a time when humanitarian conditions in the area are becoming more serious. According to the acting United Nations humanitarian coordinator in South Sudan, Marie-Hélène Verny Karamagi, discussion with the government authorities produce assurance that humanitarian workers will be allowed to safely reach affected communities, because before the government of South Sudan under President Salva Kiir Mayardit blocked the access of humanitarian assistance. In a statement released in Juba, the United Nations said humanitarian organizations are prepared to increase emergency assistance in Akobo and nearby areas after agreeing with the government of South Sudan that blocked this assistance to reach the vulnerable community in Akobo and around Jonglei. The assistance includes food support, nutrition services, health care and protection program. The United Nations warned that there is only a small window of time available before the rainy season began. Once every rain starts, road and transport route may become very difficult to use. This could make humanitarian operation even harder and worsen the suffering of civilians. According to recent food security analysis, Akobo is among the area expected to experience catastrophic level of hunger and malnutrition between April and July 2026. This warning is raising serious concern among humanitarian organizations. The humanitarian crisis has worsened because of violence that happened during March and April between SPLA, Ayuel, and SSPDF, where the government targeted civilians in Akobo. The conflict forced many civilians to flee their home. The United Nations estimates that around 200,000 people are being displaced. More than 100,000 people are also reported to have crossed into Ethiopia through Akobo tier goal. Displacement on this scale creates serious humanitarian pressure. Families often lose access to food, shelter, health care, and education. Children and elderly people become especially vulnerable during such crisis. The United Nations also reported damage to civilian infrastructure in Jonglei State. According to the statement, Akobo Hospital was looted and damaged, affecting health care services in the area. This means many civilians may struggle to receive medical treatment at a time when health services are urgently needed. The acting humanitarian coordinator thanked the United Nations mission in South Sudan for helping provide security support for humanitarian operations. She stressed that full and safe humanitarian access is extremely important to prevent the situation from becoming worse. Humanitarian organizations said immediate action is necessary to save life. International agencies continue calling on all parties to protect civilians and allow aid workers to operate safely. The crisis in Akobo also reflects broader challenges facing many communities across South Sudan. Flooding, conflict, displacement, hunger, and economic hardship continue affecting millions of people across South Sudan. Humanitarian group said long-term peace and stability are necessary if communities are to recover and rebuild their life. As the rainy season approaches, pressure is increasing on authorities and aid agencies to act quickly. Many displaced families are now depending on humanitarian support for survival. Citizens and observers continue hoping that aid reach affected communities before conditions become even more difficult. Well, if you are new here to Changfied YouTube channel, I would like you to help the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Today's story show the many challenges South Sudan continue to face, from concern about corruption and political pressure to high-profile court case connected to conflict and growing humanitarian suffering in Jonglei State. The country remains at an important moment. Many citizens continue calling for accountability, peace, transparency, and stronger institutions. At the same time, humanitarian organizations are warning that ordinary civilians continue paying the highest price during political and security crisis. The future of South Sudan will depend on peace, cooperation, and leadership that put the interests of citizens first. As always, we will continue bringing you more update, analysis, and breaking news from South Sudan and across the region. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.